Shall we begin?
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Naomi Shihab Nye, and we are honored to gather in solidarity with Gheed, a teacher and translator in Gaza, and with the 11 other Palestinian linguists on the Respond Crisis Translation team who sustain hope and language access in the midst of genocide.
And I'm Kim Stafford. This event, as well as being a poetry reading, is a fundraiser. Our shared goal is $30,000 for our friend Gheed's survival in the short term and in the long term safety. Right now we're at 23,000, and there's an opportunity to advance that as we share poetry.
We are deeply grateful for everyone who has donated thus far and who has joined us today to hear some poems in honor of Gheed and the people of Gaza.
I guess we're going to read poems, or are we going to talk about our wonderful host, Respond Crisis Translation?
Meg Sears has been working with us out of Berlin to help us organize this effort. And Meg, are you going to tell us a little bit about Respond?
My name is Meg Sears, and I'm the co-founder and director of operations at Respond Crisis Translation. And first, I just want to say thank you so much, Naomi and Kim, for making this beautiful event happen. And thank you to all of you for being here today to support Gheed and her work. The money we've raised and the love that's been poured into this fundraiser is tremendously impactful for Gheed and for all of us at Respond. I spoke to Gheed this morning and let her know that we've already raised over $20,000 for her, which we'll send to her Monday. She wrote back, "You all have given me things I never imagined I would have in my life. True unconditional love." I wanted to give you some context for Gheed's work as a translator and activist with Respond Crisis Translation. Respond is a language justice organization of 3,000 translators and language activists, providing around-the-clock, trauma-informed language support in 180 languages to migrants, refugees, and all for whom language is a barrier to accessing safety and dignity in the midst of crisis. Most of the translators and staff on our team are themselves directly crisis impacted and are able to earn a dignified living while doing this work for free for refugees and asylum seekers, all because of the generous support of folks like yourselves who believe in language access and freedom of movement as human rights. Gheed joined Respond's Arabic team in 2023 and is now the team's co-director. The Arabic team under Gheed's leadership has delivered over 700 hours of Arabic to English interpreting across 500 sessions for refugees from across the Arab world facing legal and medical crisis. As is maybe obvious, Gheed is leading this work while under constant bombardment, sheltering among the ruins of North Gaza. She recently wrote to me about her work. "Being part of Respond is one of the few things that gives me a deep sense of comfort and fulfillment. With Respond, I feel like I have real value, sometimes even more than when I'm working in the field here in Gaza. It's because, with you, I feel loved, appreciated, and seen, even in the midst of fear, hunger, and pain. I always say, how unfortunate is the person who has no love during times like these." So we so appreciate your generous donations so far. And if you're still wanting to donate to support Gheed, we'll send out the link to the donation page following the poetry reading. And I will pass it back to Naomi and Kim for the reading.
Thank you so much, Meg. And I'm very touched to hear everything you have just said. I also have been hearing from Gheed only today, and this is a huge comfort after not hearing from her for about a month due to all the chaos in Gaza. I am at this moment, Meg, receiving some messages in the top part of my computer from people who are unable to access this reading. And I don't know what to do about that, but if you or Alejandro or anyone on the team could help people enter, I'm not sure where they are, but they would like to join. And it has meant so much to Kim Stafford, my old friend, and me to have this solidarity with all of you during our preparation for the reading. Many years ago, Gheed contacted me and asked if I would do some Zoom workshops with her students who loved stories and poems. They were writing in English, trying to write about their lives. And it was the first person I ever Zoomed with. So I was very happy to serve her students and check in with them and do sessions with them through Zoom. And then she asked me for someone else I knew who might like to meet her students, another American writer. And I suggested Kim Stafford up in Oregon. And so this is how Kim and I became part of the circle with Gheed. And I would like to give Kim the credit for thinking that maybe we could, it was his idea, maybe we could have a reading to help support her because she's been doing so much work and supporting many other people during this horrible past 2 years. And she was a supporter even before that of all the children around her. So thank you, Kim, for the good idea. And I'm going to read two poems that are actually made, they're edited from her own voice messages, her audio messages to me. Voice message from Gaza. She sings, whispers, prays. She can see the moon, not yet set. The morning breeze feels almost normal. In the background, fighter jets. She doesn't mention them. One palm tree survived. When she cries, she apologizes. Her favorite student was incinerated 1 month ago. On his way to have coffee with her, he was just walking over. He'd been down to the beach to take deep breaths. So handsome, he could have been a film star. He posted his mint and tomato plants on Instagram. You can see them. Recently, he told her he wanted to write stories anyone could understand for people who'd never been to Gaza or tracked. He knew she would smile. This had been her job, encouraging students. He knew she'd be proud. This was something he could really do.
Mm.
Voice message from Gaza, too. You are so nice to think of me. Thank you for worrying about us. We send you care. We are still here. Mishmish is scared of loud sounds. She hides under a pillow. You would not want to see this. Every place crushed. Everything we needed for our lives. Last night, some people walked as families to the one still standing cafe rumored to have spinach pies and were crushed. 40 of them. Unfortunately, people eating pies. Every day I make care packages of hygiene products, socks. It's incredible to be treated worse than animals. Small sacks of bread pitched to a large crowd. Everyone starving, scrambling to catch some. The soldiers laugh as they throw it. We love our animals. That is a difference.
I think I remember that mishmish is often a name for a cat, and it's also the word for apricot. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it's a very popular name for a cat.
Yeah, yeah.
For
Well,
orange cat.
I too remember with great gratitude my sessions on Skype with Gheed and her students. And several times the screen would go black, the power had gone off, and then the light would come up again on these children. And I remember one of the girls had a poem about when I used to look at the world, it was filled with color, but now I look in the mirror and everything is gray. So when the war began, I received, and I think Naomi maybe received too, 3 audio files from Gheed. One was the sound of birds calling. One was an audio of the sound of rain, just the sound of rain. And the third was the sound of bombs falling. This was the world that she was sharing with us. And she told me that in the chaos, as she had fled south at one point, every day she would go out into the streets with one goal: find some children and find a way to make them laugh with a game, with a story, with a song, with a joke. Find some children and help them laugh. So I wrote a series of poems for Gheed, and I'll just read the first one. It's called In Gaza, the Sound of Rain. My friend writes from where she cries until she sleeps. Her sisters gather rain. In the streets, dogs eat bodies of the dead. If you go out looking for food, you may be shot. She sends the sound of birds, of shelling, the sound of rain. Marching south, she says, if you raise a hand to brush flies from your cheek, you may be shot. So you walk, staring straight ahead. What can there be after? She wants to be a global citizen, to teach children to see beauty, to simply live. Her students are alive, but afraid. What can she tell them? Now she says she is kidnapped from life to an ugly nightmare. She wants to share the good and make the world a place for aspiration. Or she wants to die at home, where she knows the color of the wall. And then I have a poem. I'm helped in these strange times by stories and ideas from my father, who was a pacifist in World War II. And this one's called Stand and Bow Down. Keep your voice up, keep your voice down and your head up when trouble comes, my father said. Shouting leads to blows, and blows to everyone losing what the fight was for. I see the sturdy tree stand tall, then bend when wind comes. I watch grass outlast the storm. When a leader shouts, I have to listen better than he knows how. I have to be what he might learn to say if I am eloquent in witness.
And I will also invoke my father in this poem, Aziz. You exist, you do not exist. What a ridiculous state of affairs. My father sat on the bench where his best friend was killed his entire life. He recalled a gentle-looking woman who blew a kiss to him from a bridge. He worried about her future. Had she survived? You were always here, but you are not here. Hard to explain the predicament of the Palestinian, but he tried so hard to do so. He connected his story. Native Americans, they knew. He told the tale anywhere that asked him to. Respecting all people felt obvious. His friends extended to the horizon. He had friends he didn't even know he had. Never have I been glad he is no longer here till now, when the poor, thin millions of Gaza, whom he loved so much, stagger through dust with battered cookpots, desperate for gruel. What would this have done to him? How would he have retained his smile? 2. I heard a bird tweet the way my father used to chirp, stepping into a room with hope for the day. He did a little dance with one hand and both feet before sitting at the table. He waited for his tea to steep, and he waited to feel better, and he waited for the world to grow sane. He is gone now, but omnipresent. Thank you for knowing his song. This is spring's secret message, lasting longer than spring. This is the mountain laurel, the purple staggering scent at dawn. And one other poem that I wrote thinking of Gheed and her students and remembering a trip my husband and I took throughout Gaza. Beautiful Gaza. The people who lived there made it feel like home. They planted strawberries, weeded fields, carried little backpacks to school. You like to go places? So did they. But they couldn't go far. They could travel to the next town or camp if they were lucky. Sometimes they blew up balloons or cooked outside on open fires like a party. There are many kinds of lucky. I saw a video, Beautiful Gaza, My Home, narrated by a young girl. TV stations might play that video every day now. They owe this to so many people. Once, in days that felt more free, we traveled from Egypt up through Gaza on a public bus. We had passports. We could go places. The bus rattled mightily. You lay in the back seat with malaria, sweat pooling on your forehead, bandana tied around nose and mouth. This was before everyone had masks. Women and men who didn't even know you stooped to offer water, wipe your brow. This is what I remember of Gaza. Beautiful fields, the people wiped your brow.
I have a little book by Aziz, A Taste of Palestine, with I make my lentil soup. I always read his words. So one of my students taught me a very important, very ordinary human custom. She said this is something counselors know. It's called the furthering response. And it's how you keep a conversation going. Instead of disagreeing, instead of, well, let me tell you what I think, how do you keep someone to continue to witness and teach you about their world? Um, and I thought of this as I watch our dysfunctional Congress, struggle to make any movement at all. And so I have this little poem, tiny poem called New House Rules. And maybe these could be new house rules for us as individuals when we come to conflict, for Congress and for the world. New house rules. In order to get beyond impasse, Congress has replaced debate with a listener's furthering response. You sound upset. I see. That makes sense. Can you tell me more about that? I'm sad to hear your pain. Let me see if I'm understanding. How does this make you feel? Have you felt this way before? Please, say again what you just said. I need to understand. How can I help? I'm trying to remember if I've ever heard a politician say, how can I help? Instead of saying, I'll tell you what you need. Okay, and this is an even tinier poem called Citizen of a Troubled Nation. I could say a troubled world. And it has an impossibly vast aspiration, this little poem. The smaller it is, the bigger the aspiration. Vast your calling, serve everyone. Small your power, one voice. Clear your path, honest words. Certain the shape of your days, struggle. Vast your purpose. Change history. Focused your goal. Maybe small as a footnote that sings.
Beautiful, Kim. Thank you. This poem is called Gheed's Voice. In your voice, no sharp edge or hint of bitterness, only the soft hills and slopes of a field, billowing neat rows of grapes, the rumple of sand as a normal wave comes and goes again. How blessed any normal exchange. You say messy a little bit to describe conditions. Your voice a soothing breeze, a prompt toward consolation. The gentle voice nurses use after surgeries to bring a patient back to consciousness. A voice encouraging scared students, comforting mothers, softening bad news. You were raised to encourage, transforming one word to another, your power, stretching boundaries for others. There was no chapter on annihilation in your plan. This is called And in the United States. The Jewish and Arab students, Californians, New Yorkers, Texans, New Mexicans, gathered together in small tents on the lawns of their schools to sing, "Life, life, stop killing one another, stop sending bombs to slaughter innocent people. We stand up for one another." And for this, they got in trouble. I walked the University of Texas campus one day after National Guardsmen on horseback arrested dozens of students for peaceful protest. Yellow police blockades felt like giant X's on a test. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The line at the falafel truck stretched a whole block long. In Ohio, a second grader handed me a cultural passport and said, "We are doubling down on diversity here." I knew Gheed would like her.
Yeah. Maybe one thing that keeps Gheed so humane, hopeful, connected is the time she spends with children. And they are her teacher as she is their teacher. Um, well, one thing I've really loved in knowing Gheed is looking at her Instagram images, which are filled with a hand holding a pepper, a hand holding a stem of broccoli, a hand holding a plant, a cup of coffee, the shadow of a tree, a pair of sandals on the sun-splashed floor. Just these elements of simple life, ordinary life, that we all would long for if we did not have them. And he now does not have them, but they keep her remembering and hoping. So I have two little poems about these kinds of ordinary talismans of pleasure. And one is called Homestead. Homestead. The house is here. We watch sunrise over this tree. Our tomatoes grow from this earth. When sorrow comes, we sit here to whisper to one another. When we travel and someone says the word home, we think of this particular shadow of the birch tree, these gold leaves growing and falling. If we were foxes, this burrow would hold our scent. If we were spirits, this would be our place of safety. This door, this room, this cave of quiet. And then a poem called Little Bird. Little bird. Little bird, bring home a seed, a petal, a crumb, to feed the family at this table nested. Bring to us a mutter, a chirp, a tune to comfort those afraid. Climb the sky to see beyond all troubles unto sunrise. Then fold your wings and fall toward bounty unafraid. What is small may yet be grand. A little bird, delicious aria unending. Guard this twig, your only weapon, a song. My country, take a lesson. May our cuisine consist of old affections for all the hungers of the world.
Thank you, Kim. Well, this, I think, connects to what you were saying there. It's called throw away. You know, sometimes when we go through, you know, a terrible blow, a loss, a grief in this country, it's very hard to survive it. But I have reminded myself in these past many months, what would it have been like if we'd also lost our home, our town, our street, our schools, everything that we had? Throw away. This person did not kill that person. This person is a baby. She had a notebook and a doll. This person was in second grade. She was doing well. For a few months, she'd whimpered every morning, but now she'd grown brave. This boy hoarded seashells in a cardboard box that once held French fries. This girl had a map. Her grandpa kept books from 1947 by his bed. He couldn't remember not having them. Gheed, too, has been traumatized by losing physical things and seen that happen to everyone around her. So this is called Dear Gheed. WhatsApp delivers to me the frothy heart in your coffee cup all the way across the sea. It gives you hope. It makes me cry. You're grateful for a new blue hoodie found in its wrapper under a rock, but worry who never got to wear it. What happened to the flowered blouses folded neatly in your cupboard? You dream of stacking rolled scarves. You liked giving things away. Remember when the angry mother entered your room mad at her son for not doing dishes before he came to class? She pointed him out at the table. He squirmed. She said in Arabic, stories, stories. All he talks about is stories. You said, sit down, dear. Write us a story about dishes. Maybe dishes like to take a rest too. I loved how the students loved you.
Yes.
I mean, how she turned that embarrassing moment for one 13-year-old boy into an assignment to his mother, who did then sit down at the table. I don't recall if she wrote anything, but it seems she was trying. I was so touched by Gheed's flexibility in that awkward situation.
So back in 2015, Egyptian poet named Shaima al-Shaba was shot in Tahrir Square in Cairo. Um, and I was so struck by the power of her words beyond her death. Her poems instantly became even more important to many people. One of her poems is called I'm the Girl Banned from Christian Religion Class. And the poem ends, I, the girl banned from saying no, will never miss the dawn. You know, how poetry does these strange, oblique points of resistance. And so this poem is called Escalation of the Possible. You know, escalation, often a word associated with terrible things in war, getting worse. Escalation of the possible. A child who shouts must feel powerless without shouting. A man who picks up a gun must feel powerless without a gun. A nation that drops bombs must feel powerless without them. But what is power? What is a nation? What is a man? A man is a child with greater responsibilities. A nation is big enough to not need to be afraid. A gun is an intricate invention of the powerless. A woman poet shot shall have power over all. Her words are suddenly our words. What she can't say, we must say. Give good words to the child. Give good power to the man. Give the nation forgiveness. Even if we can't solve all the problems right away. It's when we hurry that we kill. It's when we are afraid that we ripen a child for shouting, needing a gun, wanting a bomb. So we are growing another kind of world, wise children learning to say at every meeting, how is it with you? Where do you live? What do you love? Please, will you show me? So I want to put with that, this is my teacher self inviting everyone listening to do some writing, you know, to turn anguish into words that can console you and console others. So this is called Poems for a Cause. What's your cause? What's your calling? If it's justice, then pen a few just words into a chant or song that can call us all upright to witness and to testify. If you believe education is the key, then compose a winsome proclamation for a child to recite, standing small but tall in the halls of power. If it's earth that tugs your heart, or immigrant children who haunt your dreams, or people by bad luck cast out to camp under the overpass, then find a way to sing these sorrows into remedy, your hurt into help, syllables to gather others, so words may guide our work, and your pain be our refrain for change.
Thank you, Kim. I like your suggestion about writing too. Um, I want to just take a little moment to invoke generosity and all of my many, many Jewish friends who have been so generous with me and with anyone through this horrible last 2 years to speak up, speak out, to demonstrate, to be arrested, to sometimes end up in quarrels with their own families over their advocacy for ceasefire or justice or using the word genocide, whatever it might be. I appreciate you, my brothers and sisters, more than I could ever say. And I was always raised to think that we were brothers and sisters. I have written about this so many times in my life. And I just thank you for your own advocacy in community these past years. That has been very generous. Grief tsunami. Thinking how Palestinians would have stopped everything to feed you. And an older poem that involves the kind of traditional Palestinian Arabic generosity, hospitality. Of course, I used to complain to my father growing up that I didn't want to stop by to see his friends because I wasn't hungry, and we would have to have another meal or have a snack or have tea or sit around a while. And so this poem relates back to that, an older poem, Red Brocade. The Arabs used to say, when a stranger appears at your door, feed him for 3 days before asking who he is, where he's come from, where he's headed. That way, he'll have strength enough to answer. Or by then, you'll be such good friends, you don't care. Let's go back to that. Rice, pine nuts. Here, take the red brocade pillow. My child will serve water to your horse. No, I was not busy when you came. I was not preparing to be busy. That's the armor everyone put on to pretend they had a purpose in the world. I refuse to be claimed. Your plate is waiting. We will snip fresh mint into your tea. And Kim, if I could just take one moment to show an older book. I keep next to me at all times a book that's called A Child's View from Gaza. There's a censored across this drawing, Palestinian Children's Art and the Fight Against Censorship. The foreword of this book was by Alice Walker. It was created by the Middle East Children's Alliance in California. And there's an essay in the front by Barbara Lubin, who was one of the founders of the Middle East Children's Alliance. And this book came out way back in 2012. And the images in it, many of them were of violent scenes which children in Gaza had experienced growing up. Back then, way back in 2012, and way before that as well. Those of you who know the poetry of Mossab Abu Toha have followed through these kind of cycles of violence that people there lived through. I was very touched to become kind of a person of solidarity with Middle East Children's Alliance many years ago. I loved the fact that it was founded by Jewish women and involved Jewish people, Arab people, American people, all working so that voices and images from children would not be censored, and working to support them with food. And only yesterday I received 2 new books, The Agony of Displacement and Through the Fires, Women in War. These are 2 books, narratives of displaced women in Gaza, edited by Nawal Halawa. And these came from Sligo Creek Publishing. They're brand new out. There are so many people who've been doing work to bring the voices of Gazan people into the air, not to let them feel forgotten. And there are many others from England. One like Out of Gaza came from England this past year. And we're so grateful to everyone who has supported publishing efforts, helping more people hear the stories.
So I have two poems about after. After I think this is one thing Gheed holds on to. There must be a longer story than this. And so this first one, the day after. So much for the easy part, pulling triggers, dropping bombs, our clever strategies of destruction, all the bilateral lies that let us kill each other. Now we address the impossible. Peace. Peace with hatred. Peace with furious grief. Peace woven of broken threads. Now begins our spider work. Filaments so slender they almost can't be seen, knit by wounded hands. We will be clumsy. We will be persistent. Before we begin, let me wipe the blood, you the tears. Where will we find enough shovels to dig small graves among the olive trees? And then this one's called Museum of the Ordinary. I just had this vision of a house, a garden that had somehow been missed by the war, and how this would become a pilgrimage site, a sacred, precious place. So, Museum of the Ordinary. After the war, one house remained. No one knew how armies missed it with all their frenzy of obliteration. But there it stood in its olive grove, where mint grew from a seep in stone and a young tree heavy with lemons. Pilgrims came from their ragged tents, their shelters of tin, from their streets of rubble and rags, came limping, carrying broken children, helping each other along the dusty path. They needed to hear water laughing into a pool, to see a standing wall, a doorway, a woman with two good hands offering bread.
Thank you, Kim. I'll read just one more poem before we read some words from dear Gheed herself. This is an older poem of mine, unfortunately still not obsolete. Before I was a Gazan, I was a boy, and my homework was missing. Paper with numbers on it, stacked and lined. I was looking for my piece of paper, proud of this plus that, then multiplied, not remembering if I had left it on the table after showing to my uncle, or the shelf after combing my hair, but it was still somewhere. And I was going to find it and turn it in, make my teacher happy, make her say my name to the whole class before everything got subtracted in a minute. Even my uncle, even my teacher, even the best math student and his baby sister who couldn't talk yet. And now I would do anything for a problem I could solve. Well, none of us out here are able to solve this on our own, but we are certainly able to keep talking and to care and to gather together as many of you have generously done today. And we appreciate that so much.
Yeah, my wife's wife parent says every day you become aware of something that's been destroyed, killed, bombed, made extinct, ruined. What if every day you created something to talk back to all that darkness. And she said it wouldn't have to be a big thing to be an important thing. And so I think that's what we're inviting everyone to do, to create something, a message, a connection, a thought, a question, to witness in some way for the better world we all know we desire and we deserve. So Naomi, why don't I read this first selection from a message from Gheed. This was March 16th, 2025. And she's riding in a tuk-tuk with others going from one place to another through the ruins. When I catch a glimpse of the sea from the road, I find myself thinking about the quiet details of our daily lives, the ones we've been too ashamed to speak of for almost a year and a half. All our pain now seems to stem from the fractures this war has carved into us. There was nothing before it, and nothing seems to follow. Everything seems trivial compared to the genocide. Joy feels like a luxury, while hardship has become routine, and the sadness feels endless. I want to scream, to laugh, to cry, to talk about anything but the war. Yet everything else feels meaningless next to this overwhelming grief.
And this is from Gheed on March 27th this year. Like sheep in a pen, we await our slaughter. We know we are sacrifices, yet we mimic the language of life in Gaza. Like sheep in a pen, we know we are sacrifices, but at the same time, we strive to find what the streets offer. We wander aimlessly, searching for street vendors. We count the remaining coins in our pockets and settle for a few tomatoes, cans of beans, or macaroni for the little ones. There's no harm in the sheep mimicking the curse of life. We struggle daily, clinging to life. Then we return to the remnants of houses and tents, rejoicing in our meager spoils. Or perhaps we are like cockroaches, deserving to be crushed, or like ants swarming a piece of sugar, or like frightened sheep when the dog barks at them. They scatter in panic in every direction, or mice in a trap. Or are we the lab rats? How dare I? Of course, we are not animals, for animals can be seen and heard. They possess rights and places to live, and we are not numbers, for numbers have value. But we, invisible entities, marring the beauty of this modern world, we are everything, but nothing of value. I look at my face in the mirror, and I don't see it. I no longer see my features. I no longer have a face. We have become nothingness, yet we still suffer in this so-called civilized world that denies us even the mercy of a swift end by allowing us to die all at once, rather watches us being killed bit by bit. She told me in another message she had only a little broken compact mirror, but she could no longer stand to look in it at all. She said, I'm afraid to see myself now. What have we become? Kim, I could never thank you enough for doing this. Do you want to, and thinking of doing this, your idea, do you want to say something before I just read? I'd like to quote a few of the comments.
Yeah, let's do that. I just want to say one of the great mysteries to me about Gheed, about human power, is in the face of all that withering experience she's suffering. She says to us, You have your own problems in your lives. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. I want you to do what you need to do. I mean, she remains this fountain of kindness and generosity. I do not know how that can be done, but I know that our efforts to assist her will help to keep that flame burning. Yeah, let's read some of the comments. So Kelly writes, I am donating in honor of my Jewish dad who opposed this war till the day he died, but felt despair believing that he couldn't do anything, and my Jewish grandparents who gave impromptu lectures on the value of human life.
My friend wrote me, thank you for helping me not feel helpless. I stand in solidarity, this is someone else, with the 180 international organizations calling for Israel to stop their full-scale war crimes against Palestinian people. I stand in solidarity with people of Palestine.
Yeah.
Here's hope.
Oh, Mona wrote, to the people of Gaza, to the people of Palestine, we see you, we hear you, we love you, we stand with you.
Sherry wrote, the suffering is heartbreaking. Thank you all for words at this terrible time. And you're so right, Kim. A parent, a Gheed and parent too, are always worried about how everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And that's generosity.
Yeah, my friends Tim and Jan wrote, may we all be translators between people from different places. All be translators.
My beautiful friend Jenna wrote, only love. That's been her campaign for many years. It's helped me a lot to remember that.
Yeah, and I just have one more. Myrna wrote, we do not want this brokenness. We do not want the children starving. We do not want them taken from their dreams and their lives.
And Noah, beloved storyteller, wrote, I pray each day for this horrific nightmare to end. I and many Jewish and Israeli people stand with you. Thank you all for the many, many other beautiful comments you sent. I will keep them close by to hearten us as we go along. We want to thank Respond for supporting this effort. We want to thank Gheed and the other 11 Palestinian translators in Gaza and every donor and guest here. We are, I can't see where the donation box is right now, but at the beginning of this event an hour ago, we were at $23,000 of our hoped for 30, and we thank you all. If you have not given yet, now is the moment. If you have, thank you. Please share the donation link with 2 friends. Every ounce is appreciated. Every $10, we are grateful.
Your support puts food on the table today for Gheed and others and opens a path to safety in the future. So from all of us, thank you for standing with translators who keep the doors open to dignity.
And we welcome Meg back to close us today. Thank you, Meg.
Well, I want to thank you too. Thank you so much, Naomi and Kim, really from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of all of us at Respond for putting together this beautiful reading and also for creating this space for us to all be here together and reflect and to take supportive action. And just as we wrap up, I wanted to share some updates about Gheed's current situation as of this evening, her time. She's currently in Gaza City in northern Gaza with her mother, and she's actively trying to figure out how and where to relocate as the Israeli bombardment and full-scale invasion of the city ramps up. And as we all know, she's in a situation where food is very scarce and tents are scarce. Tents cost about $1,500 currently. And the prospect of fleeing with no place to go that's safe under active bombardment is very frightening. But despite the nightmare that Gheed is currently living, she was tremendously grateful to learn of how well this fundraiser is going, as this money is really one of the only things that gives her hope in the existence of her future, as well as giving her a tent to sleep in and the ability to feed and support her family and community. And she recently wrote to me that if I were to die tomorrow, I would die in peace, knowing I spent my life helping others, that I stood with refugees and migrants from Yemen, Syria, Palestine, Sudan, and beyond, that I was someone of worth to the innocent, humble Palestinians around me, people who not only deserve life, but love it fiercely. Your support is more than aid. It is a message. It tells Palestinian linguists like me that we matter, that we're seen, that even in the darkest moments of our lives, someone believes in our right to live with dignity, to work with purpose, and to hope for a better tomorrow. So thank you all so much again for being here with us this afternoon and for your support and solidarity, which goes truly so much further than we can express. And Naomi and Kim, of course, thank you for everything. And on that note, I'll wrap it up, and we will send a follow-up email tomorrow, which includes the link to donate. And thank you all.